Welcome to the ITIN Mastery Series. On this series, you're going to learn exactly what an ITIN is, what you can do with it, and whether this is a right strategy for you. This is specifically for non-US residents, and what an ITIN is an individual taxpayer identification number. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs on a daily basis that want to get access to US capital, whether it's for the real estate investors or they're in e-commerce or they run marketing agencies in Europe, in Latin America, in Australia, New Zealand. And a lot of them want to get into the US system and banking system because maybe they eventually want to move to the US or they want to start leveraging the US banking system, which is the best banking system in the whole world, because so that you can get 0% capital. You can leverage credit cards so that you can use the points to be able to travel in luxury and get first classes. So on this series, you're going to understand exactly what it is, whether it's good for you, whether it makes sense for you to even get an ITIN, so that if you end up talking to our team or when you talk to our team at some point, you know exactly whether this is the right fit for you or not. And then if you're even qualified to be able to get an ITIN. So we're going to go through all the ins and outs of the ITIN, because when I first started, I had no idea. And I know there's not many people in the whole market that really show and teach or just kind of show what an ITIN is and what the possibilities are for an ITIN. So in this series, you will learn exactly what it is, how you're going to be able to use it, and how you can leverage this for yourself and your business. So the ITIN is your financial passport to the US banking system. And we're going to explain exactly what it is, where it comes from, and who gives it to you, right? So the ITIN is a 9-digit number that is given by the IRS, right? So the Internal Revenue Services, it's where you pay taxes in the US. So if you are an illegal that already lives in the United States and you are undocumented, this is the only way that you're going to be able to build credit to be able to get a car or a house, or a lot of times even apartments. When you go check in and you're going to move into a place, they check your credit. So if you do live in the United States and you're illegal, this is your only way to be able to start building that credit. Now, if you're not liable for a social security number, right? So if you're a non-resident, you cannot get a social security number. If you are illegal, you cannot get a social security number. Now, the United States is the only country in the world that lets you start a credit profile, a credit business, and for you to start this credit history with a different country. I can't just go to Europe and I can't just go to England and start building a credit system, because you can't, right? So the US, if you have a business in the United States, and then if you open an ITIN, an individual taxpayer identification number, you are able to start building that credit history. Now, this is no difference that if you just turned 18 years old or if you just got a social security number. A little bit ahead, we're going to talk a little bit about what's the difference between a social security number and an ITIN, and what you can get and what you cannot get with the two. But even if you're an immigrant, say you just moved, you got an E2 visa or an O1 visa or an H1B. These are just different types of visas that let you into the United States. So with a lot of these visas, you can get a social security number, and you're still going to have to start this whole process. So this is for anyone that you're going to file. The whole reason for you getting an ITIN is for you to file taxes in the United States. Now, if your purpose is to get credit to start business relationships, you don't need to declare all your revenue in the United States. You can literally declare $5, $100, and just file at least once, so that the ITIN stays pretty much stays open. I'm gonna go a little bit into depth on the next lessons, on the next classes series, on what you need to do to maintain that ITIN. So you're not available, like you're not allowed to get a social security number. When I talk about SSN, that's what it is. SSN is your social security number. So if you cannot get one, or maybe you have a family member or someone that is in the United States, you can get an ITIN. Now, this, you do have to be over 18 years old. Similar to an SSN, like you can't start building credit until you're already an adult, right? So it also opens bank accounts. You can, a lot of banks will require you to open a bank account, to have an ITIN to open a bank account. With some banks, you can still open a bank account and you can still have the bank account, but you're not going to be able to get credit or apply for a credit card just with that, like fairly easily. You have to have a really long lasting relationship. Banks like Bank of America will let you do that, will let you open a credit card with when you've had a relationship with them for a really long time, right? So, and then bottom line, you can start accessing the US financial system. And the whole goal to have this ITIN is to start building that credit and be reported into the US system itself, right? So your name, whether you just got an ITIN or you have no ITIN, your name is nowhere to be found in the system, in the banking system in the US. So you have to start building that credit, at least getting, like, you need pretty much 3 credit cards in order to start building a credit score. So you do have to start building from zero. Like I explained, whether you just got a social security number or you turned 18 years old or you just got an ITIN, pretty much all those 3 people are starting from the same exact spot. So that's something that it doesn't matter. You have to go through the process. Now, it's more of a matter of, do you know what steps to take to be able to fast track that process and for you to take like 6 months to a year to build a solid credit profile? Or is it going to take you 5 years and then you have 1 account, 2 accounts? And I see this all the time. I see people that are in their 30s, in their 40s, and they've had 1 credit card in their life. They've used cash, they've used a debit card their whole lives, and they've never built a credit score in the US. So it does limit you, especially when you're looking for capital in the business side. So depending on how you get the ITIN, whether you already have a business or if you're applying for it personally and you don't have a business yet, you will have to declare at least $5-10, and this is something that we can help you with, right? So the real power really starts what comes next after you get the ITIN. The ITIN, and I'm going to explain how long it takes and everything like that, but once you get the ITIN, which usually we're getting it in between, like usually 60 days is our average time that we're getting it. There's a lot of companies out there. Unfortunately, I've even in the past referred friends of mine to other companies, and 6 months later, nothing has happened. So this is something that we help entrepreneurs do so that you can guarantee to get an ITIN within 6 to 7 weeks, depending on the time of year. So does this affect your immigration status? No, it doesn't. Getting an ITIN has nothing to do with immigration. You can get an ITIN, but you won't legally be able to live or stay in the United States. So you have to talk to an immigration attorney, whether if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you want to get your E2 visa, which is your investor visa. That's how I personally started. I sold everything in Canada and I went all in the United States. Maybe you're an O1, which is like special, not like special person. Maybe you're famous or you have a big brand in your country. There's different ways that you can go about it. You can always comment lawyer in the comments, and I can connect you with a really good lawyer that I personally know and I've referred to a lot. So the ITIN, it's only for tax purposes. So it's a matter of, again, you do not have to declare your revenue in the United States. You can literally declare $5 or $10. Like, oh, you're going to sell an Amazon book and you sold it for $5. And we're going to get a little bit more in depth on getting credit and how that works with taxes, but we'll see it a little bit ahead. So if you do want to immigrate to the United States, again, comment lawyer below. I can refer you to a lawyer in California that is really good. So just a quick little recap of this lesson, right? So the IRS is going to issue your ITIN now, and it's different that the Social Security Administration. That's what the SSA is different agencies for different purposes. The Social Security Administration is more like you get it from once you immigrate or you're in the United States, they're going to give you the Social Security number. If you're born in the United States, if you are already a resident, that's what you're going to get. Now, granted, this is something that you should know. Even if you come in with an investor visa, once you get your Social Security number, that Social Security is never going to expire. So even if you have, say, just your visa to live in the US for 2 years, you can keep your Social Security number, which is a great advantage. That's given the fact that maybe you're only going to be in the US for 2 years or 4 years. You can still keep the social, so you're still going to be able to take the certain advantages with your Social Security number. It opens bank accounts and opens the door to all the bankings. Not all the banks, there's some limitations on certain banks, but in the United States, there's 4,200 banks. So this is something that you don't need to worry about too much. There's way more than enough banks for you to be able to access any capital or credit or loans or anything like that. And the first asset and credit, like credit strategy, right? It's the first thing that you need in order to start getting credit in the US. There's other strategies that we can utilize, but I'm not going to go too much into depth with that so that we stay on topic. Everything else built on that number. So once you get that number, you can start getting your first credit cards. You start getting the loans. You can even get mortgages. We're gonna go a little bit more in depth on what are some of the products that you can get with an ITIN. So hopefully this has been super informative. Regardless where you're seeing this video, whether it's in community or in YouTube. If you're seeing it in YouTube, make sure that you follow and subscribe and share this video with anybody that you feel that would get some value from this. If you have any questions, make sure you go in the comments and let me know. Hope you're having the best day of your life.